Welcome to the Raven's Records, a little side quest to our Without a Candle podcast. I'm Karlie, your host, here to help you dig just a little deeper into the mysteries of mythology, magic, and personal transformation. So whether you're walking the wheel or just figuring out your own path, you're in the right place. Let's open the records together.
Well, we've talked about ravens and we've talked about the Norns. We've also touched on archetypes that we embody and don't have to choose one or the other. And we've also talked about the hearth and our inner fire. Today, I want to talk about a god who doesn't get much attention. He's not the wise All-Father. He's not the golden tethered goddess. He is quieter. But without him, none of the other work really holds. His name is Tyr, and he is the god of right action, not glorious action and not magical action, just right action. The kind you take because it is true, because you gave your word, or because the alternative is a smaller, less honest life. And to understand him, you have to understand the wolf. The gods had a problem. A giant wolf named Fenrir was growing faster and more dangerous than they expected. They tried to bind him with chains. He broke them. So they tried stronger ones, and he broke those too. So they asked the Dark Elves to forge something impossible. A ribbon thin as silk, soft as air, but made of 6 impossible things. The sound of a cat's footfall, the roots of a mountain, the breath of a fish. You get the idea. They took this ribbon to Fenrir and asked him to let them tie it on him as a game, to test his strength, they said. Fenrir was suspicious, of course, but he reluctantly agreed, only with one condition, though. One of the gods must place their hand in his mouth as a pledge of good faith. The gods all looked at each other, and nobody volunteered. Except Tyr, of course. He stepped forward. He placed his hand between the wolf's jaws. They bound Fenrir with that ribbon. The wolf pulled and strained, and the ribbon only held tighter. And then Fenrir realized he was truly trapped, and he closed his jaws. And Tyr lost his hand. This story is not about a warrior losing a hand in battle. It's not accidental. It was chosen. Tyr knew exactly what the price would be, and he paid it. Not for glory, not for reward, because the wolf needed to be bound. Because he had given his word as a pledge. Because right action demanded it. This is the Tyr energy. And here is why it matters for your mental health and your spiritual sovereignty. Well, first, Tyr is the archetype of the kept boundary. Okay? Every boundary you set with somebody, a parent, a partner, a boss, requires you to put your hand in the wolf's mouth. You know there will be a cost. The other person may get angry, may pull away, may punish you. The Tyr energy is the willingness to say, I know the cost, and I am still choosing my boundary. Without Tyr, your boundaries are just wishes. You state them, and when the wolf growls, you pull your hand back. You give in. You lose the boundary just to keep the peace, but you lose something else too. Your own self-trust. You teach yourself that your word does not matter. You said you would meditate for 5 minutes a day, but you didn't. You said you would stop doom scrolling before bed, and you still do. Each time you break a promise to yourself, you are pulling your hand back from a smaller wolf, and each time you lose a little more self-trust. Tyr energy is keeping the small promises, the unglamorous ones, the ones no one will ever know about except you. But when you keep those, you are rebuilding your own integrity from the ground up. Third, Tyr is the archetype of choosing the right hand over the easy wrong. This is the big one. The spiritual bypassers love to talk about love and light, right? But Tyr talks about what is true. Sometimes the right thing is not the kind thing. Sometimes the right thing is to walk away, to speak the hard truth, to end something that is draining you, and sometimes it's to choose solitude over a false connection. Tyr's hand is in the wolf's mouth. He feels the teeth. He holds it anyway. So, you all know I love to tie in the Akashic records. So, how do the records fit into this? The great memory holds the record of every promise that you've ever made. To others, to yourself, to your own soul. It holds the moments you kept your word and the moments you didn't. In a session, you could ask, where have I broken faith with myself? And the records will show you, but not to shame you, just to show you a pattern, to let you see where the thread of your own integrity frayed. And then you can ask, well, how do I call back my Tyr energy? How do I start keeping the small promises again? How do I rebuild trust between the self that intends and the self that acts? This is the healing, not the flash of light, but a slow, steady, tear-like willingness to put your hand back in the wolf's mouth, to make a small promise to yourself and to keep it, even if it costs you something, and especially even if it is uncomfortable. Sure, Tyr lost a hand, but he gained something else. He became the god of justice, of oaths, of the thing that holds civilization together. He became the one that the other gods turned to when they needed somebody to do the hard, necessary thing. You don't have to lose a hand, but you may have to lose something. Comfort is the easy path, and most of us take it. The approval of somebody else who wants you boundaryless, the story that you are too weak to keep your word. In the quiet of your own inner work, you can call in Tyr. You can ask him for the courage to place your hand in your own wolf's mouth, whatever that wolf is for you. The hard conversation, the daily practice, the boundary that terrifies you. And you can remember, right action is not always the reward, but it is always real. And choosing it again and again is how you build a self that you can truly trust.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, keep walking your path, trust your rhythm, and remember, the sacred isn't far. It's already within you.